G'day, what is going on? It's Jacob. In this one, I want to talk to you about 10 lessons, 10 secrets, 10 tips to turn around your information or coaching business in Q3 2025. Okay, so let me give you a little story about where the idea of this video came from. My partner, Liana, her mum left a book at our place yesterday that she thought I might be interested in reading. She came across it in her movements. And it was called Business the Jack Welch Way, 10 Secrets of the World's Greatest Turnaround King. Okay, I haven't read the book yet. It was only yesterday, but saw the title and I thought, shit, that's a cool idea for a video. Turnaround is particularly close to my heart as well, because that's the work that I used to do in corporate, particularly in New York. I was able to be part of teams that we turned around very, very big businesses, either that were like this far from bankruptcy, chapter 11, or they may have actually gone into that and then kind of come out the other side raising, multiple billions of dollars in capital. So the idea of turning around businesses is something that I have a lot of experience with. And obviously on this channel, we talk a lot about information businesses, coaching businesses, course businesses, that type of thing. So I thought this would be a cool topic for our video today. All right. So this is in particular going to be for you if you flat out, you hate your business. Might be making money, might be making a little bit of money, might be making a lot of money, but you just don't like it. Okay. That's a problem for a number of reasons, but one, because it's not going to last very long. If you don't enjoy showing up and running it every day, the sustainability is going to be a serious problem. You might like it, you might love it, but you might be just burnt out because it's requiring too much of you, of your time, of your energy, in order to make a little bit or a lot, depending on where you're at. You're making money, but you don't like how you make money. So when I say how, that could be how you have to market, constantly getting in touch with people kind of cold, doing it manually. It could be how you sell, calls, managing a sales team, managing a setting team, managing a closing team, how you deliver. Maybe you're doing all one-to-one, or maybe you've got a big group program and it's getting out of control and you'd rather fewer clients, right? It's quite flexible, but essentially the how could come into marketing, sales, or delivery. It's overly complicated. Again, this could flow into any of those elements. How you get traffic is complicated. How you market to those people is complicated. How you sell to those people is complicated. You've got this 50 touch point system. How you deliver is overcomplicated. You've got 6 different pieces of software that you've kind of sticky taped together over time. You've got people here, people there. You've got to check this, check that, and it's a mess. It could be complicated in many different ways. You might have a lot of different offers that you've slowly added over time, right? Some element or all of it is over complicated, and that's causing you stress. It's causing you anxiety. It's causing you frustration. All right. And then the last one, you can't scale income without scaling your time. Okay. That could be because you have to scale up your time on the marketing side, the sales side, or the delivery side again. So these can kind of fundamentally flow into all different areas, right? So let's dive into these one by one, and then we might kind of go off down some different pathways and rabbit holes and examples and stuff along the way. But sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and let's dive in. Okay, so the first one, all right, go all in on one core offer. All right, now I've had seasons where I've had one offer. I've had seasons where I've had many offers. At this point, having done this for many, many years, I've pretty much tried everything from $50,000 high-end premium one-to-one coaching down to $15 a month email newsletters and pretty much everything in between. I can tell you with a high degree of certainty and experience that the times where I've enjoyed my business the most is where there is one clear focused point that I can pour all my energy and attention, and there's one clear focus point that the people in the ecosystem, the leads that are coming through the sales process, is ultimately pointing towards. This alone can aggressively simplify things. It can take a lot of weight off your shoulders. It means you've got one thing to check each day. It means you've got one thing to sell. It means you've got one thing to market. It means you can narrow in your sales process to one clear next step, instead of your audience having to decide, do I want to work with this person? And then if that's a yes, which one do I want to, what container, what capacity, what offer? It's just a matter of, is this person for me or not? And then boom, there's a clear next step. Okay. So for me, inside my business, Caris Digital, let's pull up some graphs, images here so we can set some context. So this is the group this is the group of businesses that I run. I call this the Caris Group Flywheel. I also call this my Quiet Empire model, which is something we'll talk more about in the future. But there's essentially 3 businesses that sit within this group. Okay, Caris Digital, which is what you're really kind of in at the moment. It's where ads and content, email, YouTube, remarketing. We've got some low ticket offers, but then all roads lead to what's called my Lifestyle Business Academy. Let me pull that up here. You can see an example of this document below, but this is the document. So this is the main offer inside my information business. All right. I then have these other businesses that sit within the group as well, where I can kind of, use some creativity and explore different projects, etc. Caris Capital is a bit more of a sandbox for investing or partnerships or events or all these kind of things. A lot more on an ad hoc basis, but it's separate. It's carved out. Okay, I'm not trying to write an email every day that promotes 16 different things. There's one clear path in a straight line, which is a topic we're going to talk about more in a second. And then I have Caris Investments, which is essentially where the cash flow from these businesses is deployed and compounded, and then my personal brand kind of ties everything together, just to give full context. Okay, and so what we're really talking about here is the information / coaching piece, and having all roads lead to one core offering. Okay, that could be $1,000 offer, it could be a $10,000 offer, it could be a $30,000 offer. It really doesn't matter. The point is about having a focused straight line that leads to one single offering. And like I said, you can see an example of this down below if you want to check it out. All right, so that is the very, very first piece of advice. And this is the reason I put this first, is because everything kind of flows off the back of this. Okay. Number 2, answer the big 4 questions and build in one straight line. Okay, so what are the big 4 questions? Okay, the big 4 questions are, who do you help? Like, what person? Okay, so for example, if I go to say this page here, which is a lead magnet that I run some ads to, these are the types of people that I help, right? Consultants, coaches, mentors, experts, those types of people, right? Who do you help? For example, I had a gent come on into the academy yesterday. I was doing his onboarding. If you go look over here, I do a personalized strategy mapping for each client. So they've got the operating system that I help them install. They go through a 29 question onboarding form, which gives me all the information that I need about their situation, and then I customize the operating system to their goals, situation, business, etc. And he was saying that he wants to work with men. Okay, now that may be okay, but we did some work and some drilling down around how can we take that further, that who, how can we make that a little bit more narrow, right? So for example, if I took this more broad, it could be online business owners would be a more broad version of it. If I took it more narrow, I could, for example, drill into, say, just people who do one-to-one consulting work, be that in person or online. So you can, there's a range and there's a spectrum in terms of how narrow and how how narrow and how broad you want to go with this. But that's the first one, is the who, right? The second one is, what is the core problem or pain, or combination of problems and pains that you help people solve. Okay, you can start with one core one and you can layer in more over time. If you ultimately build a solution that helps people with a couple of different big problems, they say you get paid relative to the problems that you solve. If you solve one problem, that's going to be great, and if you do it very, 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 very well. The slight challenge with that online is that it is easier for your competition to copy, model, whatever. But if you create a kind of multivariable solution that solves lots of different problems, or at least a couple of problems, it makes it harder for them to do that, right? But you need clarity on the core problems and challenges that you solve for people, the pains. What are they really pissed off with? What are they really frustrated with? What have they been trying to do for a long time? And what are the big roadblocks that they keep hitting, right? And so in terms of what I do inside the academy, it tackles a couple of different things. One is getting clients without sales calls. 2 is having leads and buyers come through 24/7 automatically without them needing to crank the handle. And then 3 is automated traffic as well. There's more depth to it than this, but that's what ultimately comes together to create this kind of lifestyle business approach that we ultimately talk about. So that's the second of the big four questions, is what are the pains and problems and frustrations that people have that you solve? Okay, the third one is kind of the inverse of that, and that's what does life look like on the other side, right? If they solve those pains and problems, what does life now look like? Okay, so for me, with the model and the operating system that I help people implement, that's the life that I get to live now, because that's what I've built and that's what I help my clients implement. So just as an example, this morning I hung out with my sons and Liana for a couple of hours. She took them off to a class that they do. I stayed at home on the balcony, had a bit of coffee. I think at that point in the morning, we'd had $500-600 in low ticket sales come in through the morning. Sent a couple of messages on Instagram to a gent that had questions about the academy, and he signed up, right? That's the vision for somebody who wants a business like that. So what for you does life, or for your clients, does life look like on the other side of solving those problems? And I highly recommend that you live that way, right? Like, you need to be the product of your solution to their problems. Okay, which brings us to question number 4, which is, what is your 3-point game plan? Okay, what is your 3-point game plan for helping that person from question number 1 solve the problems from question number 2 to get to the other side from question number 3, right? And so for me, that comes down to this 3-point game plan that I outline here, right? Cash flow engine, which is a core offer between 1 and 10K. It can go more than that, but that's where the majority of people fall, that we can sell with one single invitation document. We build a core funnel that will generate leads and buyers around the clock. And then we build a traffic system that ultimately feeds it. That's my 3-point plan. Okay. And that's really important. We're going to go deeper on that in a minute. All right. But these may seem like simple and kind of basic questions, but I can tell you the majority of people have never put the time and energy into answering them properly. Okay, so if you're in a bit of a reset phase, if you're wanting to turn things around, if things have become overly complicated, go back to those 4 questions. Who, the problem, the outcome, the desired situation, and a clear 3-point plan. If you drill things back into that, you'll feel a weight lift and you can really, really focus in. Okay, and this is why, because now we can build in a straight line. All right, let me give you an example of this. Okay, so if we go to my website, and I go to the playbook, for example, right? So this is an opt-in page that I run ads to. And you can see the messaging is very, very congruent, right? So the ad essentially says something very similar to what's on this landing page, the $7 million lifestyle business playbook, how I simplify my business plan for, blah, 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 right? So they opt in. Then there's a low ticket offer, and then that goes into a funnel that's got a $50, $27, $100, $47. There's a $300 offer in there that I can turn on and off as I see fit. But now they're onto my email list, right? Now what's going to happen, and I'll bring this up because it's easier for me to demonstrate. All right, so come through an ad. They've gone into an opt-in funnel. They've seen a low ticket offer. Now they're on my email list, right? Now what's going to happen, and this is what happens with every lead that comes in, doesn't matter if they're a low ticket buyer or they download a free resource, they go through a 14-day email indoctrination sequence. And then after that, they start receiving broadcasts. Okay. The point I really want to get across here is this idea of a straight line, right? So they've opted in for this playbook, which is this resource here. And you can see here, this is the 2025 Lifestyle Business Playbook, right? And what this does is it gives a deep dive on this model around building these 3 core steps, okay? And so from the playbook, people can then come and look at the academy, right? So it's ad, hey, do you like the idea of this thing? Here's a deep dive guide on it that's like, 22 pages long. And then if you want to build this with me, so you've got the Lifestyle Business Playbook, and then you've got the Lifestyle Business Academy. If you want to build that with me, here's the program where we can do it, right? So you can see how it all moves in one straight line, from the ad to the opt-in page to the emails that come in off the back of that to the resource into the offer document, okay? And if you haven't answered these 4 questions, it's very hard to build in a straight line because different resources, different funnels, different flows, different offers are all going to be moving off in different directions. All right. And now here's the real benefit of building in one straight line. It's that it really compounds over time. Okay. If you're building across multiple different lines, and you've got marketing to a funnel to a different offer, marketing to a funnel to a different offer, and you've got that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, it's really hard to get any compounding happening. Okay. Whereas with this, we run an ad, someone buys a low ticket, opts in, ends up on the email list, starts watching YouTube videos, gets remarketing ads, is pre-sold, and joins. All right. They get onboarded. In the onboarding process, I ask them questions about why did you join? What was it that really, really spoke to you? What's your situation? What do you want to build? Then we help them. We've got systems in place that do that. And now we've picked up so much gold, so much data from each person that goes through the sequence. The answers that they've given us around why they joined, their situation, the results that they get, their testimonial, they could become an affiliate. It all feeds back into the top, right? We can feed that data back into our marketing up here. We can feed it in here, 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 here. So it makes the ecosystem better. But then they can also become a voice and an advocate for our brand, which brings in more new people who can then move through, right? So these 2 points around answering these questions, building in one straight line, and going all in on one core offer is what really allows you to unlock compounding over time. Okay, it's not going to happen overnight, but it allows you to unlock compounding over time. When you're moving people in a million different directions, it's very, very hard to achieve. Okay, so that's the second one. Answer those big 4 questions and then build everything in a single straight line. All right. Number 3, we've already kind of touched on this, but we're going to go deeper on it. Build a master pre-selling resource that runs 24/7. Okay, so in my business, it is this playbook. All right, so obviously everything that I do is around this lifestyle business operating system concept. Okay, and so I have this playbook that goes into detail around that, right? So this is the model of the operating system. And then this playbook, I'll put links to all this stuff below so you can check it out. This playbook does a deep dive on it, right? It talks about the top of the funnel, it talks about ads, it talks about funnels, it gives them all these examples of like literally best performing ads, it talks about content, fundamentals, like first principles behind creating effective content examples, Instagram, different traffic systems. Then it goes into the middle of the funnel, email, how I use it, automated emails, broadcast, what types of broadcast to write, how I approach YouTube, and how I do YouTube in a different way to most people in the market, how I approach remarketing ads, the different types of remarketing ads that we run, right? And then how that all flows towards the bottom of the funnel in terms of selling with documents, providing an example, what to include in the document, lead generation, inbound and outbound, right? Hotspots, some DM strategies, how to have conversations in a way that's not weird, some DM resources, how to follow up, and then bringing it all together. And you can see throughout, it pushes people towards the academy because if they vibe with that model, let's build it. It's not like, here's this big detailed resource and then my offer is something completely different. It's like, here's what we do. You can either take this free resource, it's very detailed, very helpful, better than most things out on the internet. You can run with it yourself, or if you want my help, let's just build it. It's $2,000, right? So this is what I'm talking about. Build something like this. It might take you a couple of days, might take you a couple of weeks, depending on how aggressively you want to run with this. I like doing it in a Google Doc because I can easily update it. And then if people come back to it, they're going to see the latest version. If you send them out a PDF, you can't update it, you can't change it. So I like doing it in a document and make sure you've got that, one core offer and that straight line concept in place, because then it can literally just be the thing in front of your offer. And so really, if I just focus on getting this in front of people, I know that the model will resonate with enough that they'll ultimately want to move forward. And this lives, breathes out in my ecosystem all day, every single day, pre-selling people on the model. Okay. And it's really critical that you pre-sell them on the model, because without that, or the plan, which is those 3 steps from those questions we answered before, if they're not interested in that, they're not going to be interested in the product anyway. Okay. So people need to spend more time on the game plan that they help people implement to go from point A to point B. All right. That's number 3. Build an asset like that. It could be a video, it could be a resource. I like those written resources. I can update them quickly. rather than needing to refilm some big, long video. Okay, number 4. Put email at the core of everything. There's a few different reasons for this. One is risk. Email is the only real asset that you're going to own. Social media, love it, hate it. I like running ads on it, but I think it does damage. It's, I'll post on it from time to time, but I use it significantly less than I used to. The algorithms are so volatile. You don't own your audience. You could pump tons of money into growing an Instagram audience. Your Instagram account could disappear tomorrow. Same as YouTube, really. Put email at the core of everything because you own it. The other reason too is it's kind of peaceful. Like, I know if I come in here, sit down, write my email, my core marketing effort is done. I send it out. The other cool thing about email is you can pitch every day without being punished. Okay. If you try pitch every day on social media, the algorithms are going to kill you. So there's a lot of different reasons for it, but I think it is the best long-term core element to build your marketing around. And you can see it here. So it sits in the middle of funnel, right? We have other elements to our middle of funnel, but what it allows is you can run different traffic sources. You can have different front-end funnels, right? Like I've showed you guys a couple quickly. So this is one example here. I showed you this playbook one here that you saw. There's another one. This is another example. You can all see these are pretty similar. They're just different assets that I built over time. But what they all do is they all build the list. Okay, either with a lead or a buyer or a lead and a buyer. Okay. And it all leads to the list. They all get those same automated emails, and then they all get the broadcast. So it really consolidates everything. Instead of running like an Instagram process, a Facebook process, a YouTube process, an email process, it consolidates things aggressively, and it builds an asset that you truly own for the long term. Okay. Then once someone's in here, we can distribute YouTube videos like you're watching right now. They can start to get remarketing ads, and all of those things move to that one core offer. All right. So that's my case for putting email at the core of everything. And with AI, we can do some really cool stuff with it now as well. All right. Now, number 5, do a stomach audit on your calendar. Okay, so what do I mean by a stomach audit? I mean, if you look at your calendar on any given day, and you can usually tell pretty quickly on the morning of, if you pick up your calendar and you're like, 11 a.m. call with Sally, and you're just like, fuck, I really don't want to do that. That's what I mean by a stomach audit. You're going to feel it straight away if there's stuff in your calendar that you really hate, that you really, really don't want to do. Okay. And there's 2 ways that you can enjoy your business a lot more. You can put more of stuff that you enjoy into it. Like if there's certain things that you're really good at, you really like writing, you really like making videos, you really like, working with your clients one-to-one, whatever it may be. You can definitely increase your enjoyment of the business by putting more of that stuff in, but equally you can keep that static and just remove the stuff that you really, really hate, or automate it, or outsource it, or find ways to eliminate it altogether. Okay. And so do a stomach audit over a week, a couple of weeks ideally, so you get a bit of variability, a month if you really want to push it, and then look at, what do I really need to eliminate? What am I tolerating because it's how I've always done things? What can I automate? What could I outsource? And get these things off your plate that are draining your energy. And then you're going to have all this clear space. You're going to have the things left that you actually really, really want to enjoy. And then you can start to stack even more of that in your calendar. Okay. Calendars, a lot of people just operate by default, but if we apply some intentionality, we can make them significantly more enjoyable. All right. So that's number 5. Number 6, build a clear North Star to kill comparison and get laser focused. Okay, so for me, I brought this up before because it comes up all the time. This is my North Star. All right. This is pretty much everything in terms of the business, both publicly and kind of what I'm doing behind the scenes. So this is my info business. Like I said, this is where I do more ad hoc consulting. We can host events, masterminds. We're doing some rev share work. I can do done for you work. Gives me a lot more flexibility, and that sits under a different arm of the business. I don't talk about it as much publicly in terms of promoting it. It's more of a natural thing that happens. Either someone will come from LBA, and then they might become a one-to-one client. Someone will come from LBA, and then we might do some rev share work together. Either they become an LBA client and they ascend up, or they reach out and I'm like, I think this might be a better path. Or someone, sees me on social, sees what I'm doing in terms of all this stuff, and they're like, hey, can you help me install this? Maybe they're a consultant and they want to build out this kind of more leveraged arm. There's lots of different ways that this happens, but this is not really sold and promoted directly. It sits more behind the scenes. And then all of these things lead to the investment portfolio that I run. And then the reason these are all linked up is because the lessons and the insight and the cash flow and the connections, it all flows through, right? Like I could meet someone could buy a low ticket offer. They could come into LBA, and then that could pop up with like some unique investment opportunity where this could come in over here, right? Equally, I could do some one-to-one consulting with someone, and then there might be a real estate opportunity that pops up. And then the lessons from all of these things flow into my personal brand. And that's what I talk about in my content, right? And so this North Star, which is, very online, mixture of both. This is very like scale, machine, leveraged. This is more relationships, ad hoc, bespoke work. And then this is very offline investment opportunity. All of these things, and my personal brand, all of these things really capture what I do. And I love this model, and it keeps me so focused that I don't give a shit about what other people are doing, because I'm just going to focus on building this. All right. Now you can take some of that, take all of it. But my point is, build a one-liner, a vision board, a model that gives you a clear North Star that you can work towards, where you can block out everybody else's stuff and you can just focus on building that. Okay. It's going to make life way more enjoyable. And then as part of that, significantly reduce your consumption. You can strategically consume stuff, but like time to stop this mass consumption, because you're just going to drive yourself crazy. All right. And this will become a massive problem for you. All right. Moving on. Number 7, install a complete operating system that runs around the clock. We've covered this to a degree. But if I come back to this overall model here, this Caris Digital is where I run my lifestyle business operating system. Okay. It's where it's like the engine of the whole group, because it gets my brand out in front of people. It grows my list. It gets me buyers. It brings me clients. It brings deals that I can then look at and go, right, is there opportunity for Caris Capital here? Is there a Caris Investments opportunity? Potentially. And this thing runs around the clock, right? Like the ads are running, the content's out there, these funnels are out there, people are opting in, the emails are going out, the YouTube videos take a little bit of work, but the upside's huge. Remarketing ads are running, the documents out there, people buy at 3:00 in the morning all the time, especially because I'm in Australia. Once they purchase, they go into a fully automated onboarding sequence. There's a little part in there where I review and give them a custom plan, and then all the delivery systems and everything are in place, and it feeds back on itself. So this is what I mean by an operating system, something that is removed from like manual work for you as much as possible. And maybe you just need to give it a nudge every so often, a little bit of time each day or every other day. It's not fully driven on you inputting energy and inputting time. All right. You can go and build that for yourself, or you can check out the academy. I'm happy to plug you into everything that I do if this aligns. Okay. And if you're watching at this point, you're 28 minutes in, it probably aligns. This is a bit more of a mindset piece of advice, but if we go back to the headline, 10 lessons to turn around an information/coaching business. If you're making a decision today of like, hey, I'm not happy with how things are, there's going to be a decision that you're going to make some changes. There's going to be the strategic, tactical, structural adjustments that you have to make. And then there's going to be a serious adjustment transition period. The first two are actually pretty easy. The decision to change and then going and making, like let's say you follow tip 1 and you cull your offers down to 1. That's not that hard to do in a moment. Where it is hard is if you get 6 weeks in and that one offer isn't selling the way that you hope that it would, and you start to get this temptation to go and add a second offer, or you see someone on YouTube doing really well with this like 5 offer stack thing. You have to be able to hold the line. Okay. And this is where the North Star becomes really critical, because if you fall in love with that and you're obsessed with that, it will help you to hold the line. All right, you've got to lock in on it and be prepared to commit to it for the long term. Otherwise, you will continuously jump around. All right. Number 9, build depth over width. Okay, so when I'm talking about width, I'm talking about new stuff like that adds complexity. And there's a couple of nuances to this, but like another new product, another new offer, another new completely different direction that people can go in with your brand. All right, now I'm talking about crypto now, like, and it just creates all of these different pathways such that it kills this. Okay, instead, you can build depth around the same core 4 questions. All right, so I can go and add a new opt-in funnel, for example. So I could go and layer this in, but the moment someone opts in from this page, everything else is the same, right? They go opt in here. Don't worry about that now. They opt in here, and everything else is the same thereafter. They get the same low ticket offer. They get all the same automated emails. They get the same remarketing ads. They see the same offer. Everything flows. So you can layer on new stuff in that regard, but make it feed the same core system, right? You can build depth in your middle of funnel with more and better emails, with more and better YouTube videos, with more and better remarketing ads, but point it all to the same core point. Stop creating 15 different straight lines that you have to manage. Build one and then build depth within that line. All right, so that each thing compounds and each thing pushes people in the same direction instead of sending them off in 15 different directions. All right. That was number 9. And then number 10, which is kind of what we just spoke about, create multiple entry points to one end goal. Okay, so this is where you can kind of scratch the itch of creativity to a degree. But if you put all this in place, right, where you've got, the one core offer, you've got the delivery set up, you've got the systems in place around onboarding, et cetera, et cetera. You've got the core sales asset or sales process for that one main thing. You've got email at the core, and you've got automations in place that are going out. You're making YouTube videos that are related to this offer. You've got the remarketing ads that are pointing people back to this offer. Where you can go and get some kind of creative release is you can go and build different front-end funnels. You can go and build different low-ticket offers. You can go and build different free resources, but point them all back to that same central point such that from the moment they enter their details, be it as a purchase or as a lead, everything else stays the same. Okay, there's a little bit of overlap in terms of our last point, but it's pretty critical and it's worth emphasizing. I think this actually came up in Hormozi's latest book. It's like 100 different ways to kind of sell the same thing. It's just taking that concept a little bit further and applying it to front-end funnels as opposed to just like within the ecosystem. All right, so that's 10 tips for you. Take some of them, take all of them. If you run with these, I think you'll aggressively simplify things. I think you'll enjoy your business way more. You'll be able to work a lot less. You'll be able to make more in a lot more enjoyable way. It'll be a lot less complicated, and you'll be able to scale without scaling your time. Okay. Hopefully you found that helpful. You can check out all the links. I'll put a bunch of them below to the stuff that we've covered today, and I will see you all in the next video. Cheers.